Most men operate under the false belief that relentless presence is the key to winning a woman's heart. They think that by always being available, constantly reassuring her, making sure she never doubts their devotion, they'll secure her affection. But this approach often backfires. Instead of making her cherish them, it makes them predictable, another orbiting satellite in her universe, waiting for validation. The truth is, the most powerful move a man can make isn't staying close, it's stepping away. When you disappear, you create something unexpected. Silence. Not the angry, dramatic kind, but the quiet absence of a man who knows his worth. She's left with the hollow space where your energy once was. And in that void, she's forced to confront a reality she may have taken for granted, that you're not just another man who lingers in the background, absorbing her moods or feeding her need for attention. Your absence becomes a mirror, reflecting back what life feels like without you. Women are accustomed to men who never leave, men who stick around no matter how little effort she puts in, men who respond at a moment's notice, always ready to provide comfort, entertainment, or validation. These men blur together in her mind, interchangeable and forgettable. But when you remove yourself from that lineup, something shifts. No longer just another option in her rotation. Become the missing option. And human psychology is clear. People place the highest value on what isn't easily within reach. This isn't about playing games or punishing her. It's about understanding that your presence should be a privilege, not a given. When you're always there, she doesn't have to question your place in her life. She assumes it. But when you step back, she's forced to ask herself, asterisk, why did he leave? What did I lose? That's where real power lies, not in chasing her, but in making her feel what it's like when you're gone. The strongest men don't disappear out of spite. They do it because they recognize that their energy is valuable, and they refuse to waste it on someone who doesn't appreciate it. They have a life beyond her goals, passions, purpose, and they're willing to return to those things without hesitation. That mindset is rare, and that's what makes it magnetic. Because when a man can walk away without bitterness, without begging, without looking back, he sends a message louder than any words. I don't need you to be whole. And that's a truth she won't forget. The moment you pull away, something subtle yet profound begins shifting in her mind. At first, she may not even notice. So after all, she's used to men clinging tighter the moment she withdraws. But when you don't follow that script, something primal awakens in her psyche. This isn't about manipulation. It's about the fundamental laws of human desire. People crave what they can't have, chase what retreats, and value what requires effort to obtain. By disappearing, you've unconsciously triggered these deep-seated psychological mechanisms. Her initial reaction might be indifference, or even relief, a temporary satisfaction at having more space. But as days pass without your presence, an uncomfortable realization dawns. You're not like the others. Most men orbit her world, seeking validation through constant contact. But you've demonstrated something far more compelling. Ability to thrive without her approval. This creates cognitive dissonance. The part of her that took your attention for granted clashes with the growing suspicion that she might have underestimated you. The magic happens in the silence between your absence and her response. Without your energy to absorb, she's left alone with her thoughts, and that's where the real work begins. She starts replaying memories, questioning her behavior, wondering if she pushed too far. This introspection is powerful because it's self-directed. No amount of your pleading or explaining could have created this level of emotional engagement. She's not missing you because you told her to. She's missing you because her own mind keeps circling back to your absence. What makes this approach so effective is its authenticity. This isn't some calculated ignore her to get her back tactic. It's the natural consequence of a man who respects himself enough to walk away when his energy isn't being valued. That quiet dignity resonates at a soul level. While other men beg for scraps of attention, you've shown her what true confidence looks like, the kind that doesn't need constant validation to feel secure. The paradox is beautiful. By removing yourself, you become more present in her mind than ever. Every unanswered text, every day of silence, every moment she expects you to break but you don't, these all reinforce your value. She starts seeing you differently, not as another supplicant in her court, but as a man of substance who understands his worth. And that shift in perception changes everything. The first 48 hours after your disappearance often pass without much reaction. She might assume you're just busy, or that this is a temporary mood that will blow over. Some women even feel a sense of relief, one less person demanding their attention. But around day 3, something subtle changes. She finds herself glancing at her phone more often, wondering why you haven't reached out. This isn't conscious longing yet, just the first prickling of curiosity. Her fingers might hover over the keyboard, typing and deleting messages before ultimately deciding to wait you out. By day 5, the mental gymnastics begin in earnest. She starts analyzing your last interactions for hidden meanings. Was there a clue she missed? Social media becomes a minefield of overinterpretation. That song you posted, was that about her? The photo at that restaurant, easy trying to make me jealous? Meanwhile, you're simply living your life, which makes your silence even more deafening. She may test the waters with a casual hey or a meaningless meme, something that gives her plausible deniability if you respond enthusiastically. The weak man takes this bait immediately, flooding her with attention and resetting the entire dynamic. The strong man responds with the same measured energy she's shown him, if he responds at all. The 1-week mark is where real psychological shifts occur. What began as mild curiosity has now blossomed into full-blown obsession. She's talking to friends about you, rereading old texts, maybe even accidentally running into places you frequent. Her pride wars with her desire. She wants to reach out properly but fears looking weak. This internal conflict is exactly where you want her. Every hour she spends thinking about you, every scenario she plays out in her head, makes your eventual return that much more powerful. By day 10, if you've maintained your silence, something remarkable happens. She stops wondering if you'll come back and starts worrying you won't. The relief she initially felt has curdled into anxiety. Other men's attention feels hollow because they haven't earned her emotional investment like you have. This is when real change happens, not because you manipulated her, because you allowed her to experience the natural consequences of taking someone for granted. The version of you in her mind has grown larger than life, and when you do reappear, it will be on entirely new terms. When she finally breaks the silence, it will rarely be with dramatic confessions or tearful apologies. More likely, you'll receive a carefully crafted message designed to appear casual and nostalgic inside joke. A question about something trivial, or a comment on your social media story. This is her way of testing the waters while maintaining plausible deniability. She needs to know if you're still emotionally available without fully exposing her own vulnerability. The moment you receive that first breadcrumb is where most men fail spectacularly. They interpret her reaching out as permission to flood her with attention, immediately resetting the power dynamic to where it was before. The correct response requires surgical precision, answered just enough to acknowledge her, but with noticeably less enthusiasm than she's accustomed to receiving from you. Match her energy if she sends a meme. Respond with a simple reaction. If she asks a question, answer politely, but don't extend the conversation. This measured response does something psychologically profound. It makes her wonder if she's lost her grip on you. The man she expected to come running back now seems different, detached, unpredictable. This is when you'll often see her escalate her efforts, maybe a late-night text, or suddenly being in your neighborhood. She's not just missing you anymore. She's missing the version of herself that existed in your presence. That confident, desired woman who felt special because of how you looked at her. Her attempts to reconnect aren't just about getting your attention back. They're about getting that feeling back. The critical mistake at this stage would be to immediately revert to old patterns. Don't start planning dates. Don't pour out your feelings. Don't give her the satisfaction of knowing she's won you back so easily. Instead, let her work to regain your presence in her life. When you do spend time together, be warm but slightly reserved, the kind of man who enjoys her company but clearly has a full life beyond her. This creates something intoxicating. The thrilling uncertainty of whether she could lose you again at any moment. That subtle tension will do more to transform how she treats you than any ultimatum or dramatic confrontation ever could. The true power of disappearing isn't in getting her back, it's in what the experience reveals about both of you. When you walk away without drama, you demonstrate a quiet strength that lingers in her psyche long after the silence ends. Whether she comes back or not, you've fundamentally altered how she sees you. You're no longer just another option in her life. You've become the standard against which other men are measured. That mark on her consciousness doesn't fade easily. For the woman who does return, the relationship transforms. She's no longer dealing with the man who tolerated inconsistencies, engaging with someone who proved he won't settle for less than he deserves. This awareness changes how she treats you. She listens more carefully, thinks twice before playing games, and values your presence because she remembers what it felt like when it was gone. The dynamic shifts from you chasing her approval to her striving to maintain your interest. But the real victory comes when you realize this was never about her at all. The man who can walk away has discovered something far more valuable. His own self-worth isn't tied to anyone's validation. Whether she returns or not becomes irrelevant because you've reclaimed something most men never do, the power to choose. That's the ultimate freedom. You're no longer afraid of loss because you've survived it and thrived. This experience leaves an indelible imprint on both of you. For her, you become the one who got away even if you didn't go anywhere. It becomes a blueprint for all future relationships. You now understand that the strongest position isn't clinging desperately to someone, but being willing to walk when you're not valued. Knowledge makes you magnetic in ways you can't fake. The man who knows his worth doesn't need to prove it. His actions speak loudly enough. And that kind of quiet confidence is what makes a man truly unforgettable.